I'm Brian.
And I'm Natalie.
And welcome to another episode of the BaseCamp Barn Project. Today is a great day. This episode's all about septic systems. So it's back to work.
It's time to move some dirt.
We're going to move some dirt. When installing a septic system, first thing, of course, is to dig all the big holes. And we'll need a couple of them. It's another beautiful day to be playing in the dirt. This part of the project will take a couple truckloads of gravel and a really big concrete holding tank. We located the septic tank roughly centered between the barn, the RV, and the future farmhouse, about 70 feet or so from each. Each sewer run has to have a gradual slope of 1/8 to 1/4 inch per foot into the tank. The length and location of the sewer runs determine the level the tank needs to be set at. We've designed the septic system for 5 bedrooms, 2 in the barn and 3 in the farmhouse. That many bedrooms requires a 1,500-gallon septic tank. Once the tank level was established, the leach field depths then could be calculated. Obviously, all the inlines need to be sloped into the tank, and the outline needs to be sloped out of the tank into the leach field. The leach field is huge. New regulations require a much larger leach field than before, just to make sure it operates well for years to come. We're using 4-inch PVC pipe. We've got a cleanout installed over here by the RV so we can dump the RV holding tanks. Once again, we're planning ahead and we installed a Y to the future farmhouse. Then we came to a screeching halt. We ran into a problem. When our contractor tried to pull a permit for this project, it was denied. Apparently, he missed one technicality. Basically, you can do anything you want on property over 35 acres, but we only own 1.5. To get a septic permit, we needed a live working street address. To get an address, we need a residential building permit. Septic is tied to the building permit, so without a permit, we can't install this septic system. I began the process of pulling a building permit by turning in the required paperwork and drawings. We already had one important item, the engineered septic design, but we didn't have the required engineered foundation paperwork that was needed for the building permit. So, we had to wait on our engineering department to produce the required paperwork. That was going to take about another month. In the meantime, I might as well build a shed. We'd already determined the best spot for a shed was over here by the power meter. We'll be pouring a concrete floor, so first we need to set up some forms.
All right, here we are on basically day one of the BaseCamp barn project shed build. This whole area here is really one of the few places on the whole property that's not going to be moved ever again. So that's why I decided to put the shed here.
The idea was to build a shed kind of like the farmhouse that we want to build someday using modern building science. Cold roof, rain screen, zip-R system. It will not be your ordinary shed.
So we're making a little corner cut here for the power because I need to have room, as we got to dig some holes and trenches to go to the barn, dig a hole and a trench to go to the house, so I can't have concrete here. Today's project was to get the wood perimeter built, leveled, and staked in. Everything math works out for this cutout. I'm pretty happy with where we're at, so once we start pounding stakes, it'll really lock it in. I'll probably put a man door in here so we have an entry that's underneath the roof line. Probably put a window in it just for a little bit of light in there. And then this front side here, we've got a roll-up door that's going to go in this section here, an 8-foot wide roll-up door. And in this back cubby here behind the power panel, I'll probably put in a bunch of shelves, maybe a little workbench and a bunch of shelves.
I rented a power vibrator for compacting the dirt where the concrete pour was going to go. It was heavy. They lifted it into my truck using a crane, but I had a pile of rocks to help unload it. But then on the third pull, the starter cord broke. So we drug it over to the forms and dropped it in. I restrung the starter cord, got it running, and began compacting.
So yesterday, we got the frames squared up, leveled up, and staked in, and then we backfilled around the frame to give it some support for the concrete flow. We rented a vibrating compactor. It compacted very well. We wetted it down, compacted it again, then we got rained on and I compacted it again, so it's a very firm footing. It should be a great foundation for this shed. And then we put in rebar. And so I've got rebar spacing roughly every 2 feet. I've got a perimeter rebar set. We're going to put J-hooks in specified spots to bolt the shed walls to. Because of all the wind we get here, I wanted something very sturdy. You know, and a shed just sitting on the ground on pilings or something, to me, you know, when we get 50, 60 mile an hour gusts blowing through here in the spring, I don't think it's going to stand up. So that's part of the idea here with using concrete as a base, using rebar to reinforce it, and putting in some J-hooks to really secure everything. I think it's going to be a very stout shed. I've got 2 yards of concrete coming in tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So as far as I know, I'm ready. I've got the spots where I want the J-hooks marked out. I've got all the risers for the most part set. Everything's tied together. Everything's level. Everything's square. I think we're ready to pour. Truck's here. Boys are here. It's pour day. Yay. So as you can see, we got the pour done. We ordered 2 yards of concrete and we used 2 yards of concrete. So calculations and math works out. Putting in the crack lines now. We got all of our J-hooks in. I don't know, they'll be here for a couple hours getting it all nice and smooth as it cures. So we are progressing. We will have a concrete pad for our shed completed. Check it off the checklist. What's next? Walls.
Next episode, we'll continue on building the shed, and maybe we'll finish the septic system.
Thanks for watching.